I'm Paula Scher. I'm a graphic designer. I live in New York City. I'm a partner in a design firm called Pentagram, which is an international firm that has offices in New York, in London, in Austin, Texas, in Berlin, and in San Francisco. I began as a designer in the early 70s when I worked in the music business, and I became a designer when I was in art school. I didn't know what graphic design was when I went to art school, and I found it was the only thing I was good at when I was in art school, so that's what I did. And I moved from Philadelphia, where I went to school, to New York City with a portfolio and $50 in 1970. And I went to work, and I've been working ever since. I started doing record covers at CBS, and originally I actually wasn't designing record covers, I was designing ads for record covers. And when I was working at Atlantic, I did about 30 record covers a year, but when I was hired back to CBS, I was East Coast art director, and I was responsible for about 150 album covers a year. And I had a very big staff, and I was only 26 years old. I think that as the corporations changed, and I can speak specifically about CBS, but other corporations also followed in tandem. There was a recession in the end of the 70s, and a lot of powerful people were fired from corporations, and so there would be less strong leaders that might be put in who came from sections of the company that didn't have a respect, say, for creativity, or weren't terribly protective of those people, and people then who worked for them operated out of fear, and so they would make concessions or not protect the illustrator, or not actually respond to their job with a sort of fearless advocacy that you need as an internal person. I never thought about being fired. You know, like, I didn't think I could really be fired. I didn't think anybody would fire me, and I behaved like somebody who wasn't going to be fired. And once I realized I could be, then I had no interest in having a staff job, which is why I've been in my own business for over 25 years, because I wouldn't put myself in the position of having to bend my will to someone else out of fear if I don't agree with them. Well, I'm interested in people. I've never been interested in technology, by the way, which is fascinating to me because it's always changing, but people are always the same. So, like, things get faster, and there's more one can do, and there are more things we can accomplish, and everything becomes very exciting with it. But it's the same people. I mean, look at the world. I look at politics in total in relationship to the way I view corporate behavior. It's people in groups. I can walk into a meeting in any corporation in the United States and look at a group of people sitting around the table, and I can tell within about 3 minutes who has the power at the table. I can see where the eyes go, I can watch the body language, I can listen to who says what for the effect or the benefit of somebody else. It's not that hard to see. We all do it. We all know about it. You can recognize it. You just have to think about it. In design, because design is subjective, it does not become its best form with lots of opinion. It's actually best as narrow opinion. And so for design to be effective, you really need one voice that you can lead with, and a client can be that voice if the designer knows how to interpret what the client means to say. The problem is that very often you're generally not talking to that person, you're talking to somebody way down on a chain who's getting an approval just from somebody else to approval to somebody else to approval to somebody else, and they're all saying what they think that person wants without actually knowing it, so their input is actually useless. In discovering that, I realized it was the way I would have to operate in life, that I would have to discover who's the power source, who's God, who is the person who really has a view about this thing or doesn't have a view about this thing but needs to because they're going to be the ultimate decision maker, and let me get to that person and let me have a series of conversations with them. And that is the best way to do effective work. And I'm at my most effective when I'm doing that, and my least effective when I'm going up a food chain. There's also, the truth about us designers is we're not equally talented on any given day. You know, I have good days and bad days. So I can have a period where I think I'm relatively fallow and I'm relying on things I already know, and then I have incredibly inventive periods, and I can't control when those happen, and the clients, when they hire me, don't know whether they're getting that or not. But they're not buying that from me anyway. What they're buying from me, I think, is a level that they perceive design will be played at. Push myself to take on things I don't know how to do. The danger is you could really screw it up in a big way. But the thing is, if you don't know your way around something, if you're a neophyte in a given area, you're not going to rely on tricks or even cliches because you're too ignorant to know what they are. So you may, just through some naivety, make some amazing inventions. I mean, I think I did that with the New Jersey Performing Arts Theater because there was no architect involved in that project, really. And they needed to just change an exterior of a building, and painting the building was the cheapest way, and I had them painted in this obsessive way that really changed the character of the building just by virtue of painting it. And I think for architects, that's actually a really scary, horrific thing that I did. And I think if I had been a practiced signage designer at the time I had done it, or environmental graphic designer, I wouldn't have, and I would have regretted it because I loved the piece. I'm doing a project in Pittsburgh. It's related a little bit to NJPAC, so it's not totally new territory, but it involved, I was hired to do to design a logo for a city, for a section of a city, and I just ignored the brief because I thought they were wrong and that they didn't need a logo, they needed something else. And I did this crazy paint job on these underpants passes, and they're doing it now, and it's set up as a place that will be an art installation within the city, so that people in traffic will go under the underpass and they'll actually be going through this art installation. If you're young, you can stay up all night and try to make breakthroughs in your work. If you're older, you don't stay up all night because you already know that you're not going to make a breakthrough doing this, that, and the other thing, and so that you actually can get to an answer much faster. The difficulty is you don't have any accidents because you know what you're doing, and that all discovery comes from accidents, so that it's harder when you're older to have breakthroughs because you stop yourself from doing it because you know too much. So putting yourself in a position of not knowing anything is very, very good for work. The problem is getting in that position, because there's actually not much that people ask me to do now that I haven't already done or I don't know how to do, and that's a problem. So I'm doing something I never thought I would do, but I'm really going to start doing more technological work, because I absolutely don't know anything about that, and I really don't know how the equipment functions, and I really am scared to death of it, and it's the right thing to do, because that's the only way I'm going to make a breakthrough, I think.